What happened? Hello! Welcome to Beast Fables Chapter 3, the fifth episode, I think, of Beast Fables so far. The live game where we play Adventures on a Dime and our tiny little beasts in a massive Scottish forest. My name is Brian Tyrrell. I am today's narrator. And I run the publishing imprint Dungeons on a Dime, focusing on entry-level role-playing content. I work with all sorts of really cool illustrators, including two of my lovely returning guests, Ver and Atlanta. So, starting with Ver, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Ver. I am an aforementioned illustrator and comic artist. I use they, them pronouns, and in this game I play Balthazar of Blueberry Pond, a toad as heroic as he is foolish.
And Atlanta, could you please also introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Atlanta. I use she, her pronouns. I am a freelance illustrator, and I am playing Pipistrel, Messenger of Odok, a small, cheeky bat who is constantly getting herself into trouble. I don't know where she gets it from.
So we are playing the system Adventures on a Dime, which has some really cool, fancy schmancy character sheets that you can see here. They are cool. They're on Roll20, which is the platform we're playing on today. And they're great because you can write all of the stuff in that you need, like the jobs and the features that come as part of the system. You can write down all of your inventory. You can even click on dice and they roll and they show up on the screen, which is so mega fancy. So it's just the best. So all you have to do is go to a little link in the description where you can join up to Roll20 and check it out and see how it works. Or don't. You can just watch us play, and that's also really cool. We're also showing off a new system that I have been writing, or a new supplement that can go with any system to bring in some moral role play and sad toads. Oh my god, fair. It's called Mortal Bearings, and it helps you explore random storytelling with some extra moral twists. Last game, we established that the bearings of both Pipistrel and Balthazar are neutral, so they are neither driven by vice nor by virtue. Pipistrel reinforced her neutral position and can now, in the next in this adventure, at any point, ask a question of the narrator, which is me, and get an answer about the consequences of an action they want to take. If they don't use this boon by the end of today's game, Pip will lose it. And the answer is out of character and entirely speculative. So Pip doesn't have to follow through with an action to see what will happen next. It's just sort of a, what does the narrator think will happen? To kind of reflect their neutral, non-judgmental, informed position. Okay. Balthazar moved from virtue into neutral because they acted with vice and vigor in the last session. And so
he wanted to throw ants down a cliff because that was the fastest way of getting them down there.
Yeet. Balthazar is neutral right now.
That's why he's sad. He's like, I thought I'm heroic.
Yes.
Oh. Baby boy.
Also, I love that for the demonstration, I rolled a critical success with Pipistrel, so...
Hell yeah.
Yes. After my test roll with Balthazar, that was a hijinks.
Oh, he's just moving off the map. Oh, baby.
Oh, no. Come on.
Gone. So, let's have a little recap. I think it was Atlanta that recapped for us what happened in Chapter 1. So, Ver, could you please recap for us what happened in Chapter 2?
Indeed. After our two characters met through the chief, was it the superintendent or foreman? I kind of forget. The foreman of Bramble Dam. My character, Balthazar, was assigned with the task of escorting Pipistrel back to Odok, as she is currently unable to fly and is ground-bound for the time being. Balthazar had acquired a map from the foreman, and our characters set out on their what is likely to become an adventure rather than a straightforward path to Odok. We took a route through the forest, the route being called Willow Cross. And on our traversal there, we heard the songbirds sing above us, many of them chattering about the end of the Boer Wars, the events that had preceded our adventure that took up a lot of effort and joint forces around the entire forest to work against. So these songbirds were chattering about the end of the Boer Wars, but also there was some talk of them being hungry and of some kind of strife that they experience. As we continued on, we saw a strange sight. I suppose I would describe it as almost like a cyclone of ants, as they were kind of going around in circles. But as Balthazar stepped up to them, seemingly out of nowhere, all of these ants started to follow him, swarming around him like he is the leader. He took to the first ant in the group, and Hilda, as he named her. She became his daughter. And our characters decided that, well, these ants have to belong to someone, as in this world there are ant keepers, or colony keepers, who drive ants forward to usually dispose of carcasses or other decaying matter that could be detrimental to the environment. And as we were kind of figuring out what to do with them, a pigeon descended down and wanted to eat them, and we warded the rude pigeon away, and there were a few other birds that kind of were eyeing us, but after our initial interaction with the pigeon, they decided that perhaps it was not worth it. We continued on through the overgrown areas, basically off the path, trying to stay away from the hungry sight of the birds. And as we did, with the help of Pipistrel's superior hearing, we managed to find, indeed, a full colony of ants, being led by 2 mice. We saw them at a distance from the top of a steep incline, that these 2 mice were herding ants to dispose of a large boar carcass, presumably a remnant of the Boer Wars. We managed to call them over, and they instructed us to take a longer road around, basically to descend from this incline into an area where we can kind of lead the ants without throwing them down the cliff, as Balthazar wanted to do. And it is on this slight detour that we met a raven. Ravens being creatures of...
Crow.
It was a crow. Apologies.
Smaller bird.
Yes. I always forget that I was thinking of the smaller bird, but in my head, crows are bigger, even though that's not right. So we met a crow, a creature of intelligence, but also a very dangerous being, which Balthazar didn't know, and he just was yelling at it. And he made some impression on it, and then when Pipistrel kind of spoke up to calm him down and tell him to chill, she did manage to placate the crow and dissuade it from perhaps making us into its meal. And it took off, and after this strange meeting, we managed to continue on and bring those forlorn ants to their proper keepers, as we had found out that Balthazar stepped into the... can you remind me what it's called, Brian? The scent? Like the...
I think
what it was called.
I think we call it just like a scent gland.
Yeah, we basically, they use like scent from the queen to organize the ants around, and Balthazar just happened to like have some of that on his foot, which is why they were following him. We brought the ants back to these keepers. They thanked us for it, one of them introducing himself as Baron, telling us that we can invoke his name with the guild, the colony guild? Is that what they're called? I have to
the colony of keepers. The Keepers Colony Guild.
There we go, the Keepers Colony Guild. If we ever want to kind of the closest to repayment that he can kind of give us. And we continued on our way, trying to... We went a little bit off the path, so we're hoping to return to Willow Cross and make sure that we can make it to Odok in good time.
Okay. That is a really lovely summary. Apparently, I am echoing a little bit on the audio. I have no idea how to fix that. So,
dear.
I will do my best. For now, let's have you guys scroll down to the new map that you have unveiled from the lovely Forbin at the Bristly, at the Bramble Dam, even. You were here and have travelled, we shall say, southerly, or no, westerly, away from Bramble Dam, and now somewhere in the middle of the forest here. You think.
We think. Oh god.
We think. I'll let you guys discuss what sort of route you think you want to take towards your goal of Odok down in the southwest here. While I figure out why the hell I'm echoing.
I suppose.
Sorry.
To put Balthazar on the map.
I can't make it smaller. Never mind. I thought I could make him smaller.
Oopsie. Oh god. I've forgotten how to use Roll20 apparently. Ah! There we go. Oh no, I didn't grab all of Pip. I only grabbed bits of her. Oh god. I don't know what the best route would be, aside from maybe if we got to the edge of the wood and then like followed the line of trees, and then hopefully, I don't know if we'd be able to see Willow Moot from the edge of the forest. Probably not, but like I assume that, like, you know, if the sun rises and sets as it would do in real life, you know, that might give us a sort of slight bearing if we followed the sun a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
If
I
we
guess
can see
because for us, it's. I think it's safer to be in the woods than it is in areas
in the
that
open.
aren't wooded.
Yeah.
So maybe we can actually kind of try and continue. Oh, that's a darker color. I don't want that. Oh dear me. Maybe we can kind of try and continue to go through the woods to, like, so we don't have to be out in the open for too long until we get to Willow Moot.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. It's like if we can head south, basically, and then I guess from if we can get to Willow Moot, then we can kind of, if we sort of
So you kind of want to go like,
yeah, like that way, and then if from Willow Moot, if we head like south, then we can like follow the river into.
oh, we can take a boat.
Yeah, we could follow. We could follow the river,
Little...
or take a boat to the loch and then follow the edge of the loch round. To like.
There's gonna like see where where a crossing is on this river, on this one, and make it across wherever we can, and through the.
Because then we can sort of. Oops, no, I'm on the wrong tool. Because then we can go from the edge of the loch and then like down into Odok from there. Because I imagine that if we get to that part of the river and then we're kind of in like that part of the woods, like I think Pip will kind of vaguely know this sort of section of wood because this is where she comes from. As a guess, obviously, if lovely GM lets me do that. But yeah, I think that's a good route, because then that sort of hopefully will keep us out of like the unwooded area for as long as possible, because that might be why things are dangerous.
That's where the bad news bears are.
It's where literal bears
Literal
are.
bear. Yeah.
Literal bad news
The
bears.
bad news guild of bears.
It's all bears, and all they do is hoover up small animals they find in the grasslands.
I am just throwing it out there that is now canon.
the bad news bears.
Aw, but DM!
No.
You said that we can contribute with storytelling and canon. Why can't the bad news bear guild not be real?
No, I said it is canon.
Oh, okay, sweet. Never mind. Thank you, GM.
Yeah, like, let's make the Bad News Bears a real guild.
Guild of Bad News Bears. I love it.
All right, so I suppose we'll be trying being the keyword, to head south of where we are. Yeah, I do like, because initially I thought of like crossing through the depth of the forest, but keeping to the outskirts is probably better, as per your suggestion. So we'll just try and head south of where we are and see what we can do about that plan.
I think so. Because I don't want to get eaten too early in the campaign.
Yeah.
So, I think I have a solution for the slight echo.
Yeah.
It will require me to stop streaming for all of 5 seconds while I change one thing in the settings, and then we'll come back. So...
No!
Oh.
Okay, that didn't work. We'll just have a very slight echo, unfortunately. But other people say that the audio is fine, so we will try to figure out what I can do next time.
Cool.
They're like the Bat Guild, but only deliver bills and junk mail. Oh my god, I love that. I love that. Okay, so please summarize for me what the next step of your journey is going to be.
I imagine what we'll be doing is, from where we are, we're going to figure out which way is south and head south towards the edge of the forest, and then when we get to the edge of the forest, we're going to follow it around a little bit until we can hopefully see Willowmoot or be in the vague direction of it.
Okay, so we're starting a new scene, which requires me to go to the Google Sheets of spreads that I have.
Ooh.
No, not Google Hangouts. Give me the sheets, please. It's the sheets loading music, which is super fun. In the meantime, could you guys pick 3 numbers between 1 and 7 for me?
Just pick?
Yeah. I'd pick cards, but I don't have them in front of me right now.
Gotcha. I would like a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, what about you?
I would like a 7, please.
A 7.
And 7 minus 3 is 4.
4. A 3, a 4, and a 7. So, in Mortal Bearings, the way that it helps support freeform storytelling, but also keep it informed, is each time you want to start a next part of the adventure, you do a spread. You pick out cards and you get fortunes. The players pick the fortune they think is the most exciting, and you move forward with the story. Each fortune is tied to an encounter that I have ready and prepared, so the players get to choose the direction, but they don't know what's coming next, which is really fun. So you have 3 fortunes to pick from. So 3 is mired and alone.
Oh no!
Oh.
4 is fast into the unknown.
Oh god.
Ooh.
And 7 is solves and poultices. I've typed in the chat.
Oh!
Please discuss
Sorry, just that
which-
last one based off of some world bully things we talked about recently?
Okay, I will be honest. The first one, mired and alone, scares me.
Yes?
I don't want to be alone this early in the campaign.
No?
Particularly as I'm groundbound. Fast into the unknown is very intriguing.
It's very exciting.
It is very exciting, but because we talked a lot. I don't want to spoil anything in case we do kind of end up talking about it in game, but salves and poultices might lead to some particularly interesting, slightly nefarious, guildy type things, mayhaps, perhaps, or something.
Well, I'm more interested in the stray aspect of
Oh, yeah,
salves
that
and
too.
poultices.
That too.
So, like, I love the sound of Fast into the Unknown. It sounds like literally the title of, like, episode 1 of a brand adventure, or brand new adventure. But salves and poultices is really enticing, isn't it?
It really is. I think we should. I think we should do the last one. I think salves and poultices because we're both like, ooh.
Yeah, we are. Though then again, like, I mean, we have these preconceived notions. We may be super wrong
That is also true.
about what awaits us, but
We-
it does seem like both of us are drawn to it. So, is that the one we're choosing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Salves and poultices it is. Okay. So, the camera pans down on Balthazar and Pipistrel wandering through the forest. It was maybe a few hours ago that you had the encounter with the ant keepers, the two mice and the large dead boar. And the sun is now, well, the shadows are starting to grow within this section of forest. And the little patches of sky you can see above have started to turn orange and golden as evening is starting to fall. Pipistrel, you're feeling somewhat at odds. Your sleep cycle has changed somewhat, having stayed at Bramble Dam for, between like a week and 2 weeks. And you should be feeling like this is early morning for you, as a human would, if that makes sense. The dusk is coming, you should be feeling a surge of energy and ready to fly, but instead your wing is aching and you're tired and you feel at odds. Equally, Balthazar, you are, with the dusk coming, you know that all sorts of creatures that like to peck at things are coming out. And despite your hard metal shell, it might be good to start and set camp.
Yeah. Hard metal shell, as in my armor. I'm not a
not a turtle.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds very reasonable, and it's important to get sleep and recover your energy for the next day. So, definitely making camp sounds like a very good idea. And I am very terrified of having to make a check for that. Well, if Balthazar looks at the map, he sees exactly what we see. There is no... Well, he's gonna look at the map because he's looking for any, inn or anything like that. Like, he's gonna squint to see if there's any tiny inn on the map.
I'd say make a cunning roll for me.
Oh, you know I can't do that.
As the map bearer, it is your... Critical success.
1 out of 4 thoughts that Balthazar gets actually is a good thought. This is it.
It's like
many
9 out of 10 cats prefer. 1 out of 4 thoughts from Balthazar are valid.
Yeah. He has 1 in 4 brain cells are dead, and this is one of the ones that works.
Oh,
Or sorry, 3 and 4 are dead. This is the one that works.
Oh,
Yeah.
bless
Mathed
him.
that wrong.
Which is such a Balthazar thing to do.
It was all part of.
Yeah,
I
all part
too
of the plan.
have 4 in cunning.
So you start to look at the map for areas of interest. And something for the audience. We have a map on the Roll20 screen that is all drawn and fun and based on La Tromond, which is the area that you're exploring. And it might not have all of the locations on it because we're kind of building as we go. So it's got some villages. So I'd say you spot that it isn't a necessarily an inn, as this is quite far out from the center of the bristly woods, but there is something of a safe space that's good for camping and has lots of shelter from the elements here, where this red square is on the map that I've just drawn.
Oh, okay.
It's at the very top of the Bramble River.
How long a walk is that?
I'd say with a critical success, you know that you could make it by maybe midnight. If you if you traveled really hard.
And it's in the middle of summer right now, so it won't actually get dark until
10.
10:30, 11ish.
Yeah, let's say it's pre-dusk. So it's maybe
Okay.
7 right now, especially because it's, the middle of July. It's warm. Well, actually, no, it's quite cool right now. There's a little dribbling of little misting of rain.
Okay.
Not like raining, but you know when it spits? It's spitting.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, Balthazar will like point it out and say, look, Pip, it seems there's some camping grounds over there. I do believe that if we made haste and pushed on for a few more hours, we could find a very nice, suitable place to sleep.
I think sort of Pip would look at the map where Balthazar is pointing, and like, if she's tired and she's sore, but she's like, yeah, you know what, Balthazar, I think that's probably our best bet. I don't like the idea of sleeping on the forest floor. I think we should go.
But sleeping on the forest floor isn't all that bad. The dirt is entirely fine, but it is the denizens of the forest that come out in the night that are of concern.
Yeah, I don't much like the idea of trying to dodge anything that could eat us on the ground when I can't fly, and neither can you. She kind of answers as an afterthought.
Well, as you might know, toads are in fact inedible, so I wouldn't worry that much. But then again, some things seem to be interested just in the sport than the eating. So a safe place to sleep would indeed be the wisest solution.
Yes, I think so. I guess Pip will look up at the sky, trying to sort of gauge roughly what time it is. I imagine it'll probably be a few hours walk from here, so we should probably get going.
So, the question is, what sort of approach are you taking to travelling? Describe how you would like to travel, because you're moving through the forest.
Well, Balthazar's like, he's a sturdy boy, you know? He, is good at, like, he's good at long distance kind of exertion. So he himself is kind of fine just powering through, like, hop, 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 pushing away, grass and any things underfoot as he needs to kind of pave a way for the slightly less sturdy Pipistrel.
Mm. Okay, so it's like Balthazar's like clearing a path through the brush, and making a very direct route.
Yeah, basically, if there's even like if there's very, very dense grass, it will have like a marching frog silhouette just beaten through it.
I like the idea of like it's sort of like this, like gentle brush and delicate floor, and there's like toad hole.
Yeah.
I would.
And every time he goes through, he says, "Oh yeah."
Oh.
Oh my god.
I'd love it if by the end of this, Balthazar just has a concussion, like, oh no.
Oh no,
no.
I forced my way through too many things.
It's fine. Those brains,
how...
he didn't need those brain cells anyway.
Pipistrel, how are you traveling? You could be following in this hole as well.
I imagine that, I think seeing what Balthazar is like up to, she's probably just gonna like let him do what he needs to do, because like she's tired, she's injured, she's not built for strength. She is small and fragile and is built for speed and maneuverability, and she can't do any of that when she's ground bound. So she's just like, you know what, I will let you do what you need to do.
Okay, so I would like Balthazar to make a vigor roll for me to see how well you are good at bashing down your way through this forest floor.
Hell yeah.
And
yes.
Pipistrel, you're a little bit more passive in this scene, so unless you'd like to try doing something, I don't think you need to make a check. You're kind of following behind Balthazar.
Well, I mean, I imagine that what Pippa would be doing, you know, with a sort of reasonably good sense of direction, is if she's keeping an eye on, like, the sun and the changing shadows and making sure they're kind of going in the right direction. So she'll probably, at the very least, be kind of saying,
oh I see, you're helping navigate.
Yes, I'm sort of navigating. I'm just not helping with like, how about you, tree?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, okay, so I'd say make a cunning roll then.
Can I tag my Undaunted, where I do not care for this grass?
I feel like we talked about it being more of like a fear and danger sort of situation vibe.
Sorry. Yeah, rather. Because
So
I guess otherwise, I could just tag it always. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here goes nothing. Fudge.
Keeping it safe for the kids.
Hell yeah!
Ah, Pipistrel.
So, complication. You barely manage to pull it off, but not without consequence. The narrative describes how the situation becomes more complicated. This is Balthazar's roll of 3. So I'll say you are hacking your way through the forest, but you are, I think, in Balthazar fashion, going, "Ha-ha! Have at you, tree!" and not making your presence at all
Just
quiet.
like Don Quixote, just like fighting trees. The trees are enormous. I don't think even Balthazar would fight trees.
I mean,
So he's fighting
maybe.
large pieces of like elderflower bush and stuff that are in the way. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
but he's doing a great job. He's cut the path.
Something else is maybe you're like your because you have a massive hammer, you're using it as like leverage, and you're like, "Rah!" and you're kind of lifting
Yeah.
up branches and moving stones aside and saying, "Ha ha ha! I am a knight," and
Yes.
kind of
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's narrating all of this to himself.
okay.
Oh my god.
And Pipistrel, you have a success, so that was a roll of 8. You do as well as you can. The narrative describes how successful you are. So I would say that Balthazar has a natural way of kind of just like curving to the left as in like a long arch, if that makes sense, as he walks. And so every now and then you sort of like hands on shoulders just slightly readjust. Sort of like a lawnmower, and just like ha 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 ha. As you make your way down towards the campsite.
Mm-hmm.
The shadows start to stretch a little bit as you make your way through the forest. It's maybe a few hours of walking. When Pipistrel, with your success, you start to notice something.
Oh. Okay.
I'm going to add a complication to this scene. Complications in Mortal Bearings are where you pick a different spread, but just use the existing card that's been drawn, in air quotes. So I'm going to add an extra fortune to this scene. The fortune is, were we wrong all along?
Oh no!
Oh dear.
So I've typed that into the chat of the Roll20 thing. You are looking over the shoulder of Balthazar, words. And this is the first time you've actually looked at the map. Balthazar has had the map this whole time. And you're looking over the map, and you are looking at the different symbols. The one that's been marked as a campsite, you are looking at it, and you're not quite sure if it means campsite or what quite it means.
Oh no. Where are we going?
In fact,
To a campsite!
you don't recognize many of the symbols on this map. The maps that the bats use are different. There seems to be a landwalker map, and you're not really sure where you're going now.
Is there a key that I can see on the map that maybe Balthazar has missed?
Hey, I got a nat 4 on that one.
Yeah, you did. That 4. Fuck yeah. I mean, excuse me. Fudge yeah.
Did you just say excuse me and then fuck yeah again?
No, I said fudge.
Oh, fudge,
I did say fudge.
Oh, I thought you were like, yeah. Wait, no, I'm gonna say it again.
Sorry, carry on.
You can't see a key. When you turn the map over to the other side. I mean, first of all, like, do you like take the map from Balthazar?
I think I might sort of like tap him on the back and be like, Balti, can we stop just for a second? And can I see the map, please?
He was like in the middle of just like,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I was trying to. I don't know what the word is, but in golf, when you, or I guess kind of just like almost baseball bat like hitting away a rock, and just like, oh, yes, of course, and he's going to take out the map from his bundle.
Oh my god. Can I sort of investigate the map and see if I can find see if there is like a key on it or something similar?
So you turn the map over, looking at the sort of the silvery birch bark that makes it up, and you see that it seems to have been cut from a larger map. There is a symbol which you recognize. It's kind of half of the guild's logo of mappers. You've delivered messages to them before, so you recognize the guild symbol, but unfortunately, normally the symbol's in full. It's never like half printed, and there's a clean shear point for the symbol. You think this map might have been cut from a larger fragment. There's also several times stamped on the back. It says something like, not like top secret, but it says something like for boar movement use only.
Oh. Okay, that's a bit weird. So. Oh, okay. I mean, I suppose if I'm not used to these kinds of maps, I don't know if I'll be able to really make any more sense of it than Balthazar would. Except the fact that I apparently know how to use maps. And Balthazar may or may not know how to use maps.
Is that one of your skills?
He's seen a map before.
Well, I mean, yeah. Sorry, that is unfair. I mean,
No, he doesn't know how to use them, but he has seen at least one in his
yes,
life.
that is true. I mean,
yeah, one of your skills is read maps. Sorry.
Yeah, I can read maps.
So let's retroactively tag that into the scene. Let's say you've looked at the map, you've turned it over, you've looked for a key, you look back, and it's by looking at the other symbols you realise that where you're heading towards, it doesn't match the symbols for the rest of the map. It's actually a square. Now that you're looking at it closer, it's a square, but it has a cross through it.
Oh no.
Whereas, say, towns are squares, cities are kind of filled in diamonds, like Odoak. I'm doing a very bad filled in diamond in the Roll20 chat. Villages are filled in circles. Hamlets are empty circles. Like, you might not be familiar with this style of map, but even the sparse markings on the map aren't they're consistent. This one is a square and it's crossed in.
Oh. And I don't recognize that symbol then.
No, when you look around the map, it's dark, so you haven't spotted them until you had it in your hands. But there's another one a bit south of Lockard. So there's another square with an X through it.
One. What are these then?
And one more like north, on the bank of this lock here, which is a square and an X.
I think before we kind of go any more gung-ho, I think sort of Pip is going to stop and point this out to Balthazar, that it doesn't actually look like we're heading to a settlement. It looks like we're heading to...
Well, it's a campsite. It's not a town.
I don't know if it's anything, Balthi. I don't know what the symbol means.
He looks at the thing and kind of strokes his chin a little bit and says, well, if it's crossed out, and maybe it's not there anymore.
Should we carry on? Should we keep going?
Well, if it's a settlement that maybe was moved out of, it could still be a place where there's some suitable dens or caves that we could sleep in. Better than out here in the open, subject to any predator that might come across us.
You make a good point. Yeah, well, let's keep going then. It is getting darker. We should probably keep moving. So I think we'll carry on, but I think Pip is a little bit more nervous now.
Don't worry, if anything there decides to mess with us, well, they will have to contend with my hammer.
Okay, so you move on towards this location. I would like you again to make a cunning roll, Pipistrel, and a vigor roll, Balthazar.
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 Oh shit!
Oh!
I fall over and break something. My other
You
wing.
break your other arm.
So, hijinks. Something goes terribly wrong. The narrator describes how things go awry and hijinks may follow. That is Pipistrel's cunning roll. And then Balthazar, you do as well as you can. The narrator describes how successful you are. So, Balthazar, you are very successful at moving things out of the way. Now that you've kind of started to build up steam, you have like a nice rhythm. You're always like lifting from your knees, and you've got good like energy.
He's croaking a little melody to himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of sounds like a weird amphibian beatboxing a little bit.
Hell yes.
I think of it like in Steven Universe when they've got those little like between like scenes.
Yes.
And it's just
Yeah,
like
he's just croaking one of those kind of like sweet beats to himself.
Yeah. It sort of comfortably fills
it-
the silence.
Yeah.
Pipistrel, a hijinks has happened. I'm gonna throw it out to you. What do you think goes wrong?
Oh god.
You're about 2/3 of the way towards this location. It's maybe like 10 o'clock now.
I imagine probably what's happening to Pip is that she is trying to kind of navigate them as best as they can in the fading light, but like she's tired and she's sore, and I think her wing is probably starting to give her some serious, like it's starting to hurt a little bit more now, and she's like, oh god, I need to go and put this poultice that Iona gave me. I need to go and put that on, and I'm getting tired now, and
I'm gonna run with this.
why am I tired? It's nighttime. Like she's getting sort of tired and nervous. She is small and fragile.
In the last like bits of light that are making their way through the canopy, before it kind of descends to like that kind of like very dusk, omnipresent, very dark, low light, just before it goes to true night. You're looking and you're realizing that your bandaging on your arm has got like dark stains on it, where it seems like maybe old wounds have opened.
Oh gosh, that's not good.
That's why you're confused. You're losing blood.
It's not like drenched, but there's like blooms of like red that have come through that kind of now link up in your mind as to why like that dull ache has been getting very slowly and gradually more aggressive.
Yeah.
And you can't really read the map anymore because bats aren't blind. You have fair enough eyesight, but it's getting dark enough that you can't really see.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess. I guess we're gonna keep going, but I'm obviously not doing as well as I would have hoped.
Oh, I just realised. Tiny bit of world building. The reason why you don't recognise any of these symbols because all the bats maps are textured, like for the blind, so they can be read at night.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So like all of these written symbols, they don't make any sense to you.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like that.
I like that a lot. That's really cool.
I'm gonna write that down.
World building.
In Braille, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that makes sense because bats would be able, they would need to be able to know where they're going.
What if the reason that the Messenger Guild or the Moon Messengers have those metal claws is so they can much more easily also imprint new information into maps?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are both weapons and tools for knowledge.
Perfect.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So night creatures use Braille maps. Perfecto. So, yes. I think that's like the hijinks is that like your wound has opened and you're feeling extra, like achy.
Extra tired and achy. Yeah. Oh, my baby girl.
So for the last leg of the journey, you are very close, but now it's too dark to read the map. How do you want to try and find this, this place?
I think Pip is just going to double down on the only skill that she can really use right now. She's just going to use those big old bat ears and see if she can hear anything at all that might lead them in a direction that would be helpful.
Okay. I'd say
I need to
that...
stop beatboxing.
Okay. I'd say that would be a vigor check for me because you're going through something repetitively and methodically.
Okay. I don't think there's anything I can tag right now. No. Okay. Oh, come on!
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm losing a lot of blood apparently.
So
Your ears start bleeding.
It's a hijinks.
Jesus Christ, man.
Oh dear.
Oh my lord.
That's an oh dear.
That is an oh dear. Oh.
Something goes terribly wrong again.
F's in chat, please, everyone.
I think that the issue with this is that you overshoot and then double back and then overshoot again and then double back. You can't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the occasional flutter or flap of something in the brush of the trees. The bird song has all died down as many of the diurnal birds have gone to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You do occasionally hear the slight clicking of, not clicking, but like that sort of very, very high-pitched echolocation of bats flying far overhead and distant. But it's, they come and go, within maybe like a few, like you hear them for like 20 seconds and then you hear them like go past and they're gone. You do hear like the long drawn out
Oh no.
of an owl
Oh, Lord.
far off.
Still, owls. That's
And
bad.
it is you recognize the sound. It's it's not a word. It's more of like a pleasurable call. Or not pleasurable, like a victory call. They let out when they've caught something.
Oh shit. That's a bit scary.
And so you're pretty sure that you've, like, from your general sense of direction, that you've walked too far past this location, and then you double back, and maybe it's like you were meant to get there by 1 in the morning, and you get there more at like 2 in the morning.
Oh gosh.
So you have to walk an extra few hours, and you're both feeling quite tired. I would say you can take 1 damage in any stat that you wish and describe to me how that damage looks.
Dang it.
So in Adventures on a Dime, damage is really simple. Each ability is represented by a die size, and when you roll that die, that's you like testing that ability. When you take damage, the size of the die reduces. So it can go from, say, a d12 to a d10. And then damage can be healed when you rest.
I think I'll take a vigor damage, so my vigor now goes down to a d4 until I have a rest.
Okay. What does that look like, Pipistrel?
I'm sorry.
I think so. As we're getting close to wherever we are, I think Pip, she starts to stagger a little bit. Her ears are drooping. Her arm is throbbing with pain, and she's starting to like, she's now like trying hard to like stay on her feet and not like collapse into the ground. Basically, she's not in a good state. She's tired. Everything is weird and upside down right now because she should be awake and alert because it's nighttime, and she's not, and she's all turned about. She's all a bit worried and needs a rest, definitely.
Okay, and Balthazar, what does this damage look like for you?
I'm a little torn between whether I should do vigor or willpower. Vigor just for the sake of I've been like going ham on the forest for the last several hours. But willpower of perhaps being like really worried about Pipistrel. And kind of being worried, right? Because
maybe like you're it's less that like you can be tired, but like also you're a knight, you've endured hard things before. I think maybe like your spirit's dampened because you're like, oh no, Pip isn't looking too good, and also like you've been keeping a really positive attitude, and now it's like 2 in the morning, and it's like the energy to keep that going is not as
Yeah,
Fire.
so I think, I'll take the willpower then, because,
Yeah.
like, he's starting to feel kind of, like, we should be getting there now, because, like, Pip really needs to rest, and he's a little bit more, like, frantic. Is still trying to be, like, he's still upbeat, but, he's just worried as well.
Oh,
So,
angel.
the first sign that you have arrived at this place on the map is large, dark shadows that don't follow the natural contours of roots and vegetation. They have hard lines against them, and you recognize them as buildings.
Ooh.
Some
What kind of
buildings.
buildings?
There's maybe like 3 or 4 what could be described as like houses that seem to be built into the roots here. There are no lights.
Well, I would knock nonetheless, just in case somebody's asleep, but I do believe this would be a suitable place to bed down.
Okay. As a reminder, you guys do have light sources that you could light if you wanted to.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
I think Pip would. Now that they're kind of in this settlement, I think she's going to sit for a minute, and she's gonna sort of beckon Balthazar to come over, and sort of hush him just a little bit so she can listen before she lights her light,
Okay.
just in case.
So, I'd recommend. Well, how are you listening? Describe what that looks like.
Well, to the best of her ability, she's sitting on the ground and she's, she is looking around in the dark, but is just straining her ears to hear like anything that might be nearby right now.
Okay. I'd say do a vigor roll at advantage because you have, I think it's like the inquisitive or nosy trait or something like that.
I have inquisitive.
Both of them. Yeah. I feel like you're good at listening for things.
Yeah.
In that sense of like wet people in that sort of environment.
Ooh.
Nat 4.
Nat 4. Nice.
We need like a flashing like da 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 and like a cannon.
Some air horns.
Yeah.
Nat 4.
Critical success. Despite the kind of the pain in your wings, you keep an ear out. You listen keenly. You pause. You take a deep breath in. You don't hear anything, aside from the very slight natural sounds of like night in the forest.
Okay.
You don't hear anything from these dark shapes ahead of you. I'd say maybe like in terms of like a human scale, you're maybe like on the outskirts of this location, so like 200 meters away. But that's not like an animal scale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's
We're
what I
within
wanted to
a
know.
long range
Yeah.
of.
Well, that's what I wanted to check, is just to make sure that it is actually deserted. I think Pip in her tired little voice, it would just say, I think it's safe. You could probably light a lantern and go and see if one of those houses is deserted, so we can sleep.
Let's do that then. Balthazar will take out his firefly lantern, but I guess it doesn't have a firefly in it, huh?
It does.
So, like, I would have been feeding it over the day then, so it
Yeah,
doesn't.
I'd say like
know,
you have a
conk
pet
out.
firefly, and it's hooded. So essentially, it's like either entirely blocked. It can have like a very low cost light, or you can open it all the way and it can let out light in sort of like a sphere, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And maybe like because they're pets, right? Maybe you can like it sleeps during the day and it's awake during the night, and that's on the cycle it is, and it's kind of used to you being like, come on now, make some light, and it's like I don't know what noises a firefly makes.
Yeah, that's exactly what they sound like. Well, I have to think of a name for it. But
Aunt Hilda is
Oh,
off
actually-
the table.
yeah, it is. No, its name is Lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So he's like, I think Balthazar takes out the little lamp and kind of like tink, tink, tink on the side, and then you kind of hear like a of the thing just like waking up and maybe just kind of
I like the idea. It's sort of like a mini revving engine, like
yeah. Oh my god, yeah. And then it just like keeps going. It's like this horrible metallic sound all the time. But yeah, he'll
like when a fly's like its wings are like against like glass or something like that.
Oh god.
Yeah. He'll wake up Lucky and open the hood of the lantern, casting a nice kind of greenish yellow glow around them. As Pipistrel is sitting down on the ground or on some kind of little leaf or something, he's gonna extend a hand to offer her to help her get up.
She would take it.
Okay, and then he's gonna continue holding her hand as he's gonna move on into the village, like keeping the lantern ahead of him and kind of walking, power walking cautiously. Like he's not going in just like, this is my place, but there's something about that liminal space of being in a village that isn't being inhabited, apparently. So he's kind of walking in with and also I think he's kind of aware that now that there's light, like, they are somewhat more visible. But yeah, he's gonna walk into among these homesteads, and he will attempt to walk up to the nearest house, and he's just going to he's just gonna knock on the door just in case, and if he doesn't hear anything, he's gonna open the door and walk in.
So you light the lamp, and the light doesn't cast very far, or at least visibly. So it's only once you've really walked into the center of this sort of like village space that you realize you kind of look around and you look up, and then you're like, oh wow, you're walking through sort of like an archway that is made of the debris of a house that has just been completely like thrown and crushed.
Oh god.
It's leaning over, and it's sort of like because the light's very close, it's as you're walking through the space and you look around, you're like, oh wow, this place is wrecked. You have like the fringes of the light catches a root where you see there's a massive, like it's just can be completely like torn and half like gouged out of the earth. You look over as you're kind of walking through, you see like where like there were maybe some mushroom fields or like there were fences that could have been a field, and they are completely torn apart, and all the mud and the earth is like pushed to the sides. The building, you realize you're going to be walking through this arch, and you kind of sidestep as you kind of see that it's just holding there, but it also does not look at all stable. And as you move through, you look up at another house that seems untouched almost amongst all of this destruction, and you go up and you on the door, and you don't hear anything.
Well, he's going to kind of turn to Pipistrel and nod at her, and then he's going to push the door open.
There's sort of like a, and the kind of the, I'd say is it a warm or a cold light from Lucky?
I think it's warm. I think it's like, well,
it kind of depends.
Maybe not. Maybe
like
it's kind of like neutral.
Yeah, because if they're like if he's like a little firefly, it'll be that sort of like yellow green, which can be quite cold. I've always thought.
I think maybe it's cold because it's like it's not fire. It's a chemical reaction that's happening in their thorax.
Yeah.
So it's a very like artificial chemically light.
Yeah,
like from a glow stick.
Posting a picture in the game chat for us of just like what. Well, this is apparently a Kyoto firefly, but I think they're quite.
Oh shoot!
So it's that weird like. Yeah, it is kind of weirdly, like this is the kind of color and temperature of light that you'd see in like a laboratory where it's almost ominous.
Oh god! If anything could make this
we'll say it's not warm, it's not cold, but it is ominous.
Yeah.
And the door creaks open, and you look inside, and it seems to be the home of a moderately sized beast, maybe somewhat larger than you, or the same sort of size as Pipistrel, because Pipistrel is bigger than Balthy. Mm-hmm. You look in and you see that there's a table laid out with plates on them. A couple of the plates have fallen onto the ground. They're made of carved wood, so they're not broken. One of the chairs is knocked over. The cabinets here, all the doors are open. Then there's like 2 floors, would say. So it's a larger sort of house that sort of like builds slantingly into like one of the roots of a tree as like kind of the foundation. Mm-hmm. There's like some stairs you have to walk up to get to the house. And so you're looking at the first floor, there's sort of like a living room, kitchen combined space, and then stairs that lead up to other parts of the house. Enjoy a little bit in the Roll20 as well, while you think about what to do.
Well, Balthazar would consider that this is a suitable place. Like, he wouldn't want to go and look at the other ones if this one's good. Mm-hmm. But also, I think just as he's gonna walk in, or as we kind of push the door open and there's nothing that lunges at us out of the darkness, and as we look around this this house that was apparently quite hastily abandoned, I think his first instinct is he kind of walks in and he picks up those plates and puts them back on the table. And as he's gonna be like walking around to just inspecting, making sure that everything's fine, but also to see if there's maybe some food or whatever else, he just kind of instinctively is closing the cupboards and putting stuff back. Like just kind of absentmindedly almost tidying the place. And yeah, he's just kind of gonna be looking around, and he'll turn to Pipistrel and say, well, it seems stable enough compared to that other house. What do you say? I think it's a suitable place to sleep. Perhaps you could go upstairs, and I think it would be safest to be quite far away from the doors. We could bar them with one of these chairs.
I think Pip is sort of looking around right now. I think she's sort of trying to gauge a little bit, like, in her very nosy way, is like, I want, even like sort of, tired and sore as she is, she's like, I wonder who lived here. This is really weird. But I think she would sort of turn back to Balthazar and say, yes, I think this is probably, I think we'll be safe here. But does this whole village, does this not feel a bit odd to you? I mean, what do you think the boars came through here?
He kind of like gives this just that he doesn't like croak audibly, but his throat just kind of does like the croak bulging as he kind of considers, and he says, well, it seemed rather straightforward. You saw those 2 fields. They looked like they were burrowed through by a large creature, and the way that the entire house was totaled, why, it looks like the kind of destruction that the Moors are capable of. I would say this must be a remnant of a town that was sadly on the path of those terrible behemoths.
She sort of considers what he said. He's like, yes, you're probably right, but still, there's something ominous about this place, and I'm not sure.
It must be the light of luck. People have described it as ominous before.
Maybe it is the light. Lovely GM, is there a fireplace in this building?
There is. It's sort of a combined like hearth and cooking space, like an Arga next to a hearth, so like a larger space for fire, if that makes sense.
Awesome. I think.
And there is like, for us humans, it'd be kindling, but there's like a pile of like firewood next to the sort of like this. Actually, we'll say it's like an Arga. Like, it looks like this is a very fine house that was once occupied.
Interesting. Okay, I think sort of listening to what Balthazar said is like, this light is very ominous. I think Pip was like, Balthi, it is a bit ominous. Why don't I light a fire? Let's drive out the ghosts in this house and maybe get some rest and hopefully be fit and ready to leave in the morning.
Indeed, I think this house would benefit from bringing back a little bit of that household spirit to it.
So I'd say you strike a fire in the Arga. As you're doing this, Balthazar's like picking up around the house. And you're having this conversation as you're both doing this, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Balthazar, describe how you're putting stuff away for me just quickly, in like a sentence.
He is just doing it somewhat absentmindedly, but still rather meticulously. Like, if there's any books or anything that are scattered around the ground, like, he'll make sure that they're all spine forward when he puts them back on the shelf. Like, he's kind of making this place... I mean, it's not like he's expecting to move in here, but he has, like, this instinct of just making it right.
Mm-hmm.
Or the way that, you know, like, things shouldn't be scattered on the ground. Well, that's... Not that it's, like, a waste or he's displeased about it, but it's just like, well, this is a home. Let's make it a home, even for this short duration. Yeah. And he's kind of very, like, everything he picks, like, he doesn't leave anything if it's in his path. He's kind of going around and just putting stuff back.
Sort of like a very slow spiral out from, like, like a spider makes a web out from, like, this central table. Like, you find something, you put it in its place, you go back to where you were, you go a bit further out. Okay.
Yeah.
Make a vigor roll for me, because you're going through this task methodically.
Oh no, Balthy!
Oh, baby boy.
So, complication, a roll of 2. You barely managed to pull it off, but not without consequence. The narrator describes how the situation becomes more complicated. So this isn't a conflict necessarily, but this is how thorough you are as you're going through your task, you're kind of putting everything to right. And I'd say that as you're going through, it's one of those things when, you know, when you clean your room, you pick something up and you get really distracted looking at it, and then, you know, like, I don't know about you, but, like, for me, 4 hours pass, and you're like, I was meant to have cleaned the whole house by now, and I've just been looking at this Nintendo game. So it's a little bit like that, where you pick something up, and then you're sort of, like, you've grabbed a plate, and then you go to cupboards, and because you don't know where anything is, you're methodically going through all of these cupboards going, no, plates. Oh, wrong kind of plate. And it's taken a little bit longer, so maybe you've cleaned, like, a third of the space.
Yeah.
And you've seen that, like, a lot of the shelves still have jars of food, though they seem to, like, the ones that are nearest and most easily able to grab have been. At the backs and the corners of, say, pantry cupboards, there's jars of food, or what could be, like, jams and preserves and things like that. There's bags of ground up oat near the Arga. There's, like, an open book near one of the couch chairs that's a little bit further away from, like, the kind of kitchen area. And you're putting things to rights. And many of the books that you're saying, oh, you put this spine forward, you're looking at, like, the titles and reading them and getting a little bit distracted with the light now coming from the fire that Pipistrel has lit. And you're noticing that some of them are titles on they seem to be farmers' almanacs and like very factual and reference texts rather than, say, fiction. That seem to be about, like, horticulture and growing and seasons and things like that. Pipistrel.
Also, I just want to say that he would have let Lucky out of the little container. So Lucky, which I imagine, like, I don't know if it matters for fireflies, but it's a she, and she's gonna be just, like, flittering about. Like, she probably just, like, stoops somewhere, and then every now and then she's like, I'm gonna go here, and just, like, kind of flutter jumps to another place. And is
I like the idea
letting
that
out slight
there are some
light.
potted plants. One of them has fallen over, and all the soil that's been gathered is, like, scattered over the ground, and you've helped clean that up. And as you pop it up, Lucky kind of jumps on, like, one of the drooping leaves of the plant, and then it's sort of like...
It's like a mint plant, so it's, like, enormous leaves, but still not so big that it's, like, it could be, you know, the ceiling of your house or something for a small creature.
It's sort of like Monstera size in comparison to beasts.
Yeah, that's kind of what I imagined.
So they've got, like, this decorative mint around the place, and so, like, occasionally, like, Lucky jumps from, like, mint to mint. And in the act of, like, roughing up these leaves, there is a slight minty smell in the air now.
Nice. I imagine that Lucky is kind of like the cockroach in Wall-E.
A little
Like,
bit.
like she's just kind of sweet, and she's there, but obviously she's just a little.
She's a working insect.
Yeah.
She's a working bug. She has a job, but
Yeah.
she's now off the job. So
She gets to hang. I don't know. I like the idea of her being just this sweet little thing, but obviously she's a bug, so she can't like emote like a dog can. But she makes like happy clicking noises.
yeah, her antenna like curl with happiness, and
I feel like it's the buzzing of the wings.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah,
the
but she
different
can
pitches.
also. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she can also just use the light. Wait, do both male and female fireflies have the light, or is it just males? Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know. I have not researched enough about
I
fireflies.
think it would be males. Males use it as a way of attracting females.
Right? Yeah. Let me. You know what? Let's move on to what Pipistrel is doing, and I'll look up some neat firefly facts in the background.
Stay tuned for firefly facts, everybody.
So, Pipistrel, you're lighting this fire, and it's something you can just do.
Yes.
Because you are capable. But like, describe what you're doing as you light the fire, and what you're doing afterwards, as Balthazar is going around and cleaning this house.
I think Pip would. She would gather up some of the kindling, throw it into the fire, make sure that the fire is like really going and has been, has enough air, has enough kindling, so it can will sort of settle itself down into like a low, just a nice sort of rolling fire, not like a big roaring fire, just so she doesn't have to keep like tending to it. And I think once the fire has started and she's content that it's just gonna keep itself going for a while, I think she kind of wants to look around and see if she can find maybe some sort of indication of like who lived here, because this is quite a nice house. They have like a nice sort of kitcheny area. They've got sort of they have books and things like that. Like this obviously was a relatively well-to-do person or family who lived here. And I think she, being inquisitive, is sort of curious as to whose house they're squatting in, basically.
So you're doing it curiously. I would say make and you're investigating. So make a cunning roll at advantage because you're nosy.
Yeah. Nice.
7 and a 5. That is great. Let me just see who lives here. You are. I actually do have to look at a thing with the words. But as the yellow, warm light of the fire starts to grow and crackle, and you have a single point of illumination, long shadows start to cast around the room, especially as you walk around. And though it is much more like better lit now that there is a fire, it's also it's more homely, but it's still got that strange. I think as Ver said, it's like liminal space, like you're in someone else's house and they're not there. And you see that there is a little wooden carving that has been like kind of painted. So it's like a relief carving that's been painted to give it like more of a life to it, and it depicts a family or like a collective of several lizards and several shrews. The shrews are smaller, the lizards are larger.
Interesting.
And you kind of recognize the patterns of some of the lizards in different places. So it might be like it was like a set of people, you're not quite sure what their relationship could have been living together.
That is very, very intriguing.
I'd say also with like a success, you're going around and you see that like near the door, Balthazar has picked this up now, but there are all sorts of tools, like farming tools.
So maybe...
And some nets, some like bug catching nets.
Maybe a collection of farmers must have lived here at some point before whatever drove them out. I'm going to assume it was probably boars, just the way that you've described the village.
You could guess.
The way it's totaled. I'm going to guess, but now I'm worried because what if it wasn't boars? But yeah, I think sort of being sort of inquisitive, being nosy, to be honest. I think Pip is just naturally very curious about, like, you know, this was someone's home and it's been like totally abandoned, and like this village has been totaled. I think it's nicer now that the fire is lit. I think she appreciates that Balthazar is, you know, like cleaning up and he's making it feel like a little bit more homely and stuff. But I think she's definitely uneasy, and I think she kind of wants to know. She wants to know more about, like, what is this place and you know, what happened here. But she doesn't want to go outside. She's just going to want to try and glean as much as she can from the house itself.
So do you want to go upstairs?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. It is entirely dark upstairs. You could I'd say there's some candles about. You could light a candle.
You
and
can take
it with
Lucky.
You.
Actually, can I, before I go upstairs,
Which also, I have done some research.
Ooh,
and
enlighten us, Ver.
there
Knowledge drop.
is a in the UK, there is a type of beetle called a glowworm, which is a it's a type of firefly, so to say. Emitting an eerie yellow-green glow at night, female glowworms use bioluminescence to attract mates. They are flightless. They are beetles that have a light up, like the last 3 segments of their body are lit up. So they don't fly. So Lucky wouldn't fly. She is kind of, I imagine maybe she's like curled up during the day, just kind of sleeping. And then so she's going to be like crawling about, but you can kind of hold her like like she's going to curl up a little bit like a pill bug. Because it's really fascinating. They, no, sorry. They have a fascinating type of like body and the way that they metamorphose or kind of don't. In any case, yeah, you can take Lucky, and she's just gonna like sit in your hands. You can like cradle her like a baby, but it's also safe to drop her because she's a beetle. She can take it. So if something scares you, you can yeet her at it.
Oh, nice. I
like that it's gone from you can drop her to throw her at danger.
Stun her and blind them. I think Pip would sort of gladly take Lucky, and I think she'd put Lucky on her shoulder, and give her a gentle pat as she walks.
I feel like it's like Lucky would go backwards on you, so like it's light first.
Yes.
So, by like your ear, and it's sort of like those sort of like backpack. Like shoulder strap lights.
Oh, yeah.
Or she could be, I forget what they're called. Those pillows that you have for flights where they go around your neck.
V-neck
Oh,
pillows.
yeah. Oh, that's funny.
I have because they don't look like the fireflies that I think we usually think of. I'm going to post another picture in our
in the game chat.
Beast chat. It is like a strange beetle.
Or drop it in the Roll20 so people can see.
Yeah.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can.
Well, I'll drop it in the Roll20.
Well, let me try. Can I? Yeah, I don't have that power. I tried control V-ing.
So is it the most recent photo you've put in our little Discord?
In the game chat, yes. It's that strange, like, kind of elongated beetle with a segmented body. And I suppose a warning for anyone who doesn't look like looking at insects up close. Maybe I could draw her instead, because it is a little gnarly.
Cool. Well,
I'm gonna
we'll
draw her
say to
and
keep
we'll
the scene
talk about
moving, you have it wrapped around your neck, you're going upstairs. You move upstairs, and it is like it's a similar, you understand from outside looking at the building that it's a similar sort of size to the first floor. And we'll say that actually the first floor is a little bit carved into the root of the tree as well, which I'll just quickly draw. But it's sort of like the space is like this. So it's got those stairs going up. So it's a similar sort of size, the first floor to the ground floor, so to speak, of this building. It's got like half of that space is like an open plan living room. There are a few bookshelves. There seems to be like a basket of dirty laundry. And then there's some bedrooms and stairs up to an even further, a second floor.
Oh, okay, so this house really does keep going.
And like it's quite a large building. Several of the doors to these bedrooms are open. This space seems untouched.
Oh, really? So like everything's kind of still relatively organized and where it quote unquote should be.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I say organized. Like aside from the doors being open, it doesn't seem as disassembled as like the living room, but it's like you've walked into someone's living room. There's stuff out where it naturally would be.
Yeah, no, of course. But what I meant was like it's not in sort of a state of disrepair as it would be downstairs.
Or disarray. Okay. Like it's not all messed up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think Pip is going to. What's the closest door to me? Is the closest door like a bedroom?
Yeah, I'd say all the doors are bedrooms.
Okay, I think whichever the closest door is, I think Pip is going to kind of push it open and take a little peeky inside and see whose bedroom that is.
So you look inside, and there is a sort of a circular, divoted bed, more like a large bowl that has been filled with smooth stones.
Ooh, okay.
And there is a slight drawer in the base of this smooth bowl that is closed. In the corner there are some fire pokers and a bag of coals. There are several wardrobes here. They are open and have clothes inside. Not that you can see that much without going and investigating. There are several low tables. Some have books on them. One of them has a jar of dried candied bugs.
Mm-hmm. Don't show Lucky.
Oh, I will not show Lucky.
With like a glass lid on top. And glass is not excessively rare. Like it has to be made and shipped, so it's like a luxury good in that sense, but it's like a low level luxury good.
Yeah. Okay. It's not like metal or jewels.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming that this was probably one of the rooms that belonged to either one or more of the lizards, from that wooden relief downstairs. I think. Yeah, I think Pip would go in, and I think she sort of maybe have a little nose around, maybe like look at some of the books, and maybe check inside the wardrobe.
You look inside the wardrobe, and there are some coat hangers that are kind of like fall into the bottom of it that don't have any clothes on. There are other clothes here. They seem to be suited for long, elongated bodies and made of a coarse sort of flax material.
Definitely lizards.
Like flax linen.
What are the books like on like the tables, on the low tables?
Yeah.
Anything interesting?
They seem to be sketchbooks. You're kind of looking through them, and they've got like a very spidery handwriting in charcoal, and some of them have pictures, doodles.
Interesting. Okay. I don't think there's anything I can really get from looking around this room, so I think I will move on to the next bedroom. Pip is just going to be like sort of having a little look at everything in this house.
Okay, so make a cunning roll for me. Oh, icky licky, icky lucky even,
icky
which
lucky.
is the little doodle that Ver has drawn on the Roll20. It's a gorgeous drawing.
I was just looking at the photo that I linked because they're kind of gnarly, and I wish I could squish it because they're a little bit more squished when I looked at more pictures of them. You have it in your power, because I can't do it, but you, Brian, if you select the entire picture,
oh no, what have I done?
You can squish her to make her. Let's see, I don't see it yet.
Make her squishy.
Oh, well, no, sorry. The other, you make her squishy horizontally, not vertically. Just kind of, yeah. That's the Lucky. That's what she's supposed to look like. I'm gonna move my Lucky up, but yeah, there you go. She's a squishy.
I love
You
that.
can't really. Can you put her under the icky Lucky?
Yes.
And then everybody will be able to see her true form.
So I'm gonna have Pipistrel roll me a cunning check at advantage.
Yay.
Just to see overall how much you kind of glean from these rooms. And while I describe what you find, Balthazar, think about what you'd like to do next. I'd say maybe it's like 3 a.m. now. Like the time, because you don't have a clock, time is a little bit, especially at night, it's a sort of strange balance. And your kind of internal clock is completely thrown, Pipistrel. So I'd say maybe it's like 3-ish in the morning. Not quite sure.
Gosh.
So you got a 8. Success. Do you want to roll again just in case it's a critical? Oh, wait, you have rolled twice. It was 6 and an 8.
I have rolled twice. 6 and an 8, yeah.
Oh, sorry, my message interposed. Yeah, my request for putting Icky Lucky somewhere else. That's her full name, Icky Lucky.
Icky Lucky.
So, I'd say with like 6 and 8, that's really decent. I'm gonna say that you could find out. You can ask me 3 questions, and I will answer them about this family.
About this family. Okay.
About this house. Anything you want to know about what you could find here?
Ooh. Is there anything in this house that could help us get to Odok? Is there like are there any extra maps or books or general?
A safe full of money.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say that I will be able to update a map for next chapter, but there is another map that is more full here.
Ooh, perfect.
Which allows you to contextualize. It has roads drawn on it as well.
Ooh, that's very helpful. Okay.
It is from the Guild of Mappers, but it doesn't have that extra stamping on the back and of like, this is for board tracking use only, and it seems to have more locations on it along with the roads.
Oh wow, that is very, very helpful. So I have 2 more questions. Is there anything in this house that indicates where these whoever lived here, the shrews and the lizards? Is there any indication of where they went, or is it just kind of the house has basically been abandoned?
There is a note that is pinned to one bedroom door. You only have half of it because it has been ripped.
Oh, okay.
And it says, the first part of it says, August, we have gone to Bramble Dam. Boars came through. You know where and that's where it tears.
Ooh. Okay.
It's written in charcoal on what seems to be thin, cheap silver birch paper, and is pinned with a nail. And now that you look, you notice that all of the doors have nails on, and some of the doors have like fragments of paper, like different like sheets of paper of different qualities. It seems like maybe this is like a message system they have in the house, where like they pin messages to the doors.
Interesting. There are no other messages on any of the other doors.
Only little bits of scraps of paper from like previous messages.
But nothing legible. Okay.
As in like the very like tiniest bit of paper where it's like being torn off or removed or something.
Okay, so I have one more question. Ooh, okay. One more question. What would be useful and or fun? Is there something that I can bring downstairs to make Balthazar happy?
Oh.
What do you think would make Balthazar happy?
You find Lavinia!
I was here all along!
Hiding there all along.
I find Lavinia and bring her downstairs. No. Is there anything... Well, what... I mean... sorry, kind of slightly cheeky question, but like... What would make Balthazar happy? Would he like kind of useful for his armor, useful for his weapons, or would he just like something for the just novelty of having it?
As many toads tend to, he likes things that are fine craftsmanship or art or like jewelry, just things that are beautiful to look at, whether it is artistic expression or fine craftsmanship. Those things are highly revered by toads.
Is there anything that I could bring downstairs to show Balthazar that he might find interesting? So, like,
I want to make a little
something-
pinned note. I want to retroactively have that conversation because I like the idea of at the end of every chapter we have a little conversation that you guys have had to get to know each other.
Oh, so that'll be our little
That'll
scene?
be our like 5-minute outro of that little conversation about what do you guys like.
Epilogue, yes, okay, that'll be our epilogue. But yeah, so if there's anything kind of
you
fun that I can bring
find
downstairs.
there is a jewelry box in one of the rooms that is open, and it seems like a lot of the jewelry has just been taken with the grasp because it seems like it had been full because there's lots of little pockets and drawers, and it seems like most have been removed. But you do find a bracelet made of misshapen but polished little black stones that's strung together with a silken cord, like knotted. So it's like a pearl necklace, if that makes sense. Like you've got the little black stones, a hole's been drilled, the silk like string cord goes through, a knot is tied, and they just add more stones.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to.
There's enough string that it could be a necklace, but there's only enough stones for it to be maybe like a bracelet.
Okay. Okay, I should probably preface it. I'm not going to steal it. I just want to take it downstairs to show Balthazar, like, hey, look at this neat thing I found.
I'm not going to steal it. I'm just going to borrow it permanently.
I'm going to borrow it and then maybe bring it back someday.
Okay, so during this time, we're going to go back to Balthazar. Balthazar, what have you been doing? While
Balthazar
been
has started preparing a meal.
Oh!
He has the like mess kit equipment to because he would cook for himself and Lavinia, and he's probably using whatever.
The kitchen here is fully equipped.
Oh, awesome! Oh my god, he's so gonna like Samwise Gamgee this. Awesome. Yeah, he's going to like within reason, like he's going to take what he can out of the kitchen, including ingredients, because you said that Pipistrel had found things that were kind of further in the back, some kind of jarred goods, and it's because he's gonna use whatever kind of he has had with him, but if there is an abundance of resources here, he's going to be cooking something where they can pack it up and have it for the next few days as well.
Okay, I'd say you'd make maybe sort of like oat cakes, and then you'd grab maybe one of like the conserves from the pantry and have that as like extra on top.
Yeah, well,
so
I
like
think
the
so. He's gonna
oatcakes
make oat
and
cakes.
then
He's going to make something like a soup or a stew that can go with the oat cakes this evening, and then the rest of the oat cakes they will take with the conserves for the
Wait, no. I just thought of my mum always calls them squashed fly biscuits, but Garibaldi biscuits, but they are actually got squashed flies in.
Oh god, I need to look that up. Garibaldi?
Garibaldi. But they're long, flat biscuits that have like raisins and currants in them, and they're baked really dry.
Oh, I see, and they do look like they have little flies in them. Yeah.
So my mum always calls them squash fly biscuits, and they're really great. And you bake them in long. They're sort of like lembas bread. Like you bake them in long sheets, and you can break them up into little bits, and you dunk them in tea. So you make that, but it's like a savoury one, and then you also are preparing a stew. And I'm going to say that like at the same time that Pipistrel, you like, oh, I found this kind of this sort of bracelet necklace thing. You go, ooh, that smells particularly food-like, and sort of start to wander downstairs and come into the kind of the warmed hearth area.
And there's definitely, I imagine there's that point where when Pipistrel breaches the like the doorway, that hot air has been accumulating specifically in that room because it's also been with the boiling water kind of. So she just like walks into this.
Actually, wait. I'm gonna walk that back a second. There's no water to make a stew in this place. You'll have to go get some. I think that's really fun as an encounter.
Yeah, in that case, while Pipistrel is upstairs, he's kind of gonna like knock with the tip of his hammer on the railing going upstairs, and tell Pipistrel that he's going to say, it looks like there's enough ingredients for a stew, but I would need to fetch some water first. I'll go get that sorted.
I
And
think Pip just before Balthazar leaves, is like, "Do you want me to come with you?"
I don't know if you heard.
Did you hear that, or was he like, "I'm leaving"?
I mean, if she wants to scurry down and join him, then of course she can. I think he's just already like he said that and he like turned to leave.
Oh, okay. I think Pip will probably just take the no answer as like, "Oh, he's gone."
Yeah. I feel like maybe Pip is really engrossed in like one of these journals and is flicking through them, and then you hear like, "I'm getting water," and then without thinking you're like, "Okay," and then go straight back into reading.
Fair.
And well, I don't have Lucky with me, so I'll take like a candle or something
Okay.
from downstairs.
So you step out onto the kind of porch of this building, and the candlelight, as opposed to like the lamplight of Lucky, which is a little bit cast down, the candlelight goes a little bit further and is warm and yellow, and it's still kind of spitting lightly from an overcast sky. You know, at night when it's overcast, it's got that very, very low grey, omnipresent light almost.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of see that peeking through patches of trees and foliage. And this kind of candle isn't like hissing or like going guttering or anything because of like the spitting rain, but it's kind of like very gently pattering down around you.
Mm-hmm.
Describe how you look for water.
Well, if this is a village, then I assume there might be a well or some place where people would draw water from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and I mean, because Balthazar's been around in Blueberry Keep and also in Bramble Dam, which are both extremely water-adjacent places.
Mm-hmm.
So he might not actually think the way that I do. But like he knows what wells are and stuff, so I think he's just gonna be like walking the vicinity.
I like
just
the idea that he's never he's heard of wells, but he's never drawn water from a well.
No, because he never had to. So because
the
toads
first
live over a
town
pond,
that he ever went to that wasn't Blueberry Pond was Bramble Dam,
which is on a river.
Yeah.
Like,
in fact, the entire this is the first time you've ever gone in a forest, because you travelled entirely across the lake and then up a river to get to Bramble Dam.
yeah. So but you know, he's taking it in his stride. Like, he's good. He knows of wells and the way that some creatures draw water. So he will think, because some toads probably grow mushrooms and stuff. So I think he might be familiar with like, well, you know, mushrooms need a lot of water. So he's going to go near the mushroom field, and he's just going to be like walking up and down that ruined fence to see if there's a
like a cistern or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm gonna say make a cunning check for me.
No, I was hoping that if I say that he's looking up and down, it'll be bigger. Oh, y'all, get ready for a hijinks.
You rolled a 3. You barely managed to pull it off, but not without the consequence, and now it describes how the situation becomes more complicated. You're walking up and down the fence looking for a well or a cistern. You've heard that people keep water in holes in the ground, but you've always heard that stagnant water's bad, so you're not sure how this works. And you are looking over, and you actually see in the distance there seems to be some kind of more open like circle, and you trudge across the dirty field, kind of squelching in the mud, over, and you notice it's sort of like more of like a town square circle vibe, and there is a well in the center, but to get to it, you'll have to go through one of these wrecked buildings.
Oh God.
Well, I have my armor, I'll be fine. He trudges along. Well, he's actually he's gonna look at this wrecked building. Does he see like a kind of route through?
Okay, so I'm just gonna add, so there's the little fence underneath the root of the house you're in, and you've kind of trudged across from here, and now you're at this route, and now there's this wrecked building you're going through to get to the well that's over here. Because I love a drawing.
Nice. I'm gonna put my little... So he's okay, so he's here.
Yeah.
Can I see the well on the other side, like?
Yeah.
Underneath
So I'd say like maybe like there's like a large hole that at this level you can see the well through, and the kind of the town square. There's a few other buildings, but you'll have to go down this route and then through the base of this building. You could go through the ground floor door, which seems to be kind of like slanting and crumbled in on itself. You could try going around the building, which seems to be a longer route that leads somewhere you can't really see, that leads further towards the tree. Or you could try climbing up the route a bit and then jumping through an open window.
Ooh. Well, I mean, I think honestly he's in no rush. I think he, like, for being, heroic in his willpower, he's still just kind of like, well, I'll just walk around and take the scenic route.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to go down the side of this building and see if he can circumvent it, because he's not, like, dumb enough to just walk into a crumbling building if there's another option.
Okay. So you start to go around the side of the building, which is like underneath this route and then kind of through. And you kind of come to a point where you see that there's rubble kind of crumbled that you could walk over, but it doesn't look super firm. And it's sort of like part of this large kind of crumbled mass. You see that actually it's two houses that have slid down the roots onto each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't quite tell from the kind of the gentle light of the candle and from the general like darkness. But you're kind of, if there's, I'm gonna draw it sideways now. If there's sort of like crumbled houses here, there's sort of like a lower pile of rubble here, and the root of the tree is over the top like this.
Right, and I'm kind of standing here like, oh, I can walk through this pile.
Yeah, I'm gonna move Lucky
Well,
down.
he's not, yeah.
Oh no, the legs!
No, you tore off her legs! Nicky Lucky! No, she's dead!
No, I fixed her.
Killed
She's okay.
her.
So, I mean, he's not daunted by the prospect of having to walk over rubble.
Mm-hmm.
He had mentioned to Pipistrel that toad feet are sturdy and leathery, well walked. So he's going to, he's going to make his way across this rubble.
Okay. Describe how you make your way across the rubble.
He uses his feet to walk on it. He's kind of like, I mean, I think he's kind of trudging along.
I feel
he's
like
not
that's a
being
really
overly...
good. That's a good summary. He uses his feet to walk on it. I'd say just make a bigger check. You just go. You plow ahead.
I succeed at walking.
Yes. With a 4, you get over the rubble, and you notice that there are like some, almost quite naturally, because you're used to walking over, say, like mulch and kind of like rotting bits of bark. Very casually notice that there are some potholes that you could have like slipped and fallen into, but you're quite used to walking over this, and so you plop, 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 get over to the other side and get to the well. There is a bucket hanging from a string and a crank that you can lower into the well, and though you've heard stories of wells, the tales of lowered mechanics, I'm pretty sure you can also work out how to operate it.
I hope so. I mean, like, he's not like someone who doesn't understand anything that he looks at for the first time, and it's kind of like levers and pulleys are just like, okay, yeah, this is how you do it.
You're like, turn here to get water, and you...
Yes. Perfect.
1 bucket of water.
He just holds the bucket over his head.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Like swirling light just engulfs you as you have attained water.
Yeah. Well, he didn't bring anything with him to put the water into, so he's gonna just take the bucket, and he's gonna return it in the morning.
Okay. So you trod your way back to the house, and I'd say you pretty safely get back to the house, get back over the rubble, and use the water to make stew. And then Pipistrel descends with the...
That went a lot better than I thought it did. I thought it's just like, I'm gonna the house is gonna fall on me, or something terrible's like a owl's gonna come down, and then it's just like, I went and got water. Hell yeah.
I mean, not to spoil it, but I tried.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's why I'm saying I'm thrilled that worked. I mean, that cunning check could have gone real bad.
So, you get back, you make stew. Pipistrel descends with not stolen jewelry.
Not stolen.
As I learnt in retail, it's not stealing until it's out of the store.
Exactly.
So, there is stew, there is food. How would you guys like to wrap up the evening?
I think Pip would probably come downstairs and being sort of, being nosy would say, I found out. Look at all this stuff that I found. Like, this was obviously this was a farmer's house. Like, there's the relief. She'd point a bunch of stuff out. Oh, she would give Icky Lucky back to Balthier as well. By the
Thank
way.
you.
Return the bug, but then also I think she would show Balthazar the jewelry and sort of says like, oh, I wonder who these people were, because they were farmers, but look, this is very fine as a piece, and it looks quite expensive, don't you think?
Balthazar, like his he does that cat thing where his weird horizontal pupils just grow super big.
Yes.
When he looks at this lovely piece of jewelry, and he just takes it into his hands and is kind of like inspecting it, not with the if someone's well versed in like making these kind of things, there's a specific way they would look at it. He's definitely just admiring in a very layman-esque way.
Aww.
But he's like definitely a lot of just like he's touching the stones, kind of looking at the silvery thread, and just murmuring all this time, just like, well, I'll say, this is an incredible piece. My goodness, to find such a wonderful piece of treasure in an abandoned house like this. Well, that's just remarkable. And he's just like really taken with admiring it. And he's gonna look at those silvery threads and say, see, the problem with, well, not problem, but when you live in a toad stump, everything is in a constant state of being damp. And while rocks do, of course, fine in such an environment, things like these beautiful threads, tapestries, how much we would love to have tapestries in our stumps, but unfortunately it's just not very feasible, and being able to admire such things, why, well, it makes journeying out of the stump well worth it, don't you think?
I would agree with that, Balthazar. You don't have tapestries in toad stumps?
Well, not for long.
I think Pip would laugh at that.
We do admire them greatly. It's such an incredible craftsmanship, but, well, unfortunately, it would... There's a beauty in things that are fleeting, but it's also a bit of a waste for these fine pieces of garment and tapestry to simply rot. So, unfortunately, we don't get to keep such things around for very long. And, well, should somebody think of a way to make these beautiful pieces that are not affected by the damp and muck, that would be quite the thing. I think many toads would be very, very happy.
I think Pip would sort of... I think she's like, in her mind she's like, that's very sweet, but also she's like, oh, that's also kind of a shame, because and I think she'd sort of say, that is a tremendous pity, because in Odog we have all kinds of tapestries and silks and other wonderful fabrics that I suppose I never really thought that toads wouldn't, or and other sort of damp-dwelling creatures would not be able to experience.
You also paint the whole tree with resins, like brightly coloured resins.
Mm-hmm. Odok is a very colourful and like sort of busy city.
Mm.
And I think she would sort of talk to Balthazar about like some of her favorite like colorful garments that her parents have made when she was still living in Odok.
I think when she mentions that her parents make, his eyes kind of light up and say, "Well, is this a family craft? Do you make garments as well when you're not a messenger?"
Pip laughs and says, "Oh no, that was always my parents. Maybe not a wish. Maybe a secret want would be a better way of saying it. They wanted me to take over the family business with them, or join it, I guess. But I don't know. They're very beautiful and they're very well crafted." And she kind of points to like her flight suit, which she's taken off because she's sitting down now. These garments take a lot of skill and time to learn how to make, but it was never really my thing. I really wanted to see much more than just Odok, which is why I joined the Messengers Guild.
He's kind of like looking at the flight suit and listening to her, kind of nodding along, and says, "Well, I suppose from well, there's many wonderful things to see out here, but from what you say, Odok does sound quite marvelous. I have to say, I'm quite excited to see it now. And do you reckon I could find some silks or fine garments befitting even a toad out there?"
I think Pip's eyes sort of light up a little bit. It's like, "Oh, I'm almost certain of it. There, by the time we reach Odok, I think we'll be into the last few weeks of the summer traders being here, and there are all these wonderful things that come from all over the place, from places that we've never even heard of. I'm sure that one of them will have something that would be very fine for a toad such as yourself."
Well, I obviously was quite excited to take you to Odok, but I think now I'm even more excited.
I think you might really like it, Balthazar, and who knows? Maybe more toads in the future will want to come and visit the city. We don't get many toads, to be honest.
Well, I hear it's very tall, which can be challenging. We're very short.
Pip falls about laughing at that. Not like laughing at Balthazar, just my friend is very sweet and I appreciate the wonderful things they say.
I appreciate his 4 whole brain cells.
Yeah, basically. She kind of composes herself enough to say, it's like, I never really considered that, toads may have a much more difficult time navigating when it is a very tall city.
Well, see, for the most part, our stumps are really everything that we need. We have everything that we require being made in or on the stumps, and I suppose, the recent events of the Boer Wars have brought even us out to venture out, and even then it was quite close when you think about it. Bramble Den is just down the river from my stump, and we're very proud of what we have, but I think there is a pride to be found in discovering what wonderful things others have to offer too.
I'm sure, but I mean, can you tell me more about Blueberry Pond? I've never seen a toad stump before. And she's like, she got that sort of like little curious like ooh in her eye now because she wants to learn things.
Do we kind of want to end the scene with just the narration that Balthazar, he starts off like, "Well, as the name suggests, it is a stump," and then he just continues on weaving this picture.
Would like to transition things a little bit. You go to say, "Well, it's a stump," and I was going to call you Atlanta, but Pipistrelle, your ears twitch. You hear from close by.
Uh-oh. Does that sound... What kind of sound is that? Is that
It sounds as if something was gliding down, scratched at the ground, and flew away.
How big?
You can't see it, you're inside.
Can I tell from the sound how heavy the sound of whatever
Very
it was
heavy.
landing was? Very heavy. Oh god! Is it an owl?
Maybe.
And around the pond we have blue pipistrel. Pipistrel, you. I'm sorry if it's boring.
Oh no. She puts one very long finger up to her mouth and sort of shushes Balthazar. She mouths at him, like, I heard something.
His eyes kind of, which were the pupils, which were like a little wider, just for like the enthusiasm and happiness, kind of go once again to that line, the horizontal line that Toad said to have. I imagine he had taken off his armor to cook and stuff. But as he's sitting there, because he was kind of, I imagine as he was speaking with Pipistrel, he's been slowly like tending the stew, just kind of mixing it with a big spoon. And he slowly like takes that spoon out and kind of puts it to the side. And as he's sitting on the stool, at his side, laying on the ground, is the hammer, and he's slowly going to pick it up.
Yeah, as they've been talking, Pip has been sitting by the fire, and she's been putting poultice. She's been putting the poultice on her wing. And
I was going to say, interestingly, I don't think we have actually gotten to a point where because you've kind of been eating, I don't think you've had a chance to bandage or dress your wing. You never said you were attending to it, and the whole time you've been looking around the house and being really curious.
Okay.
You look to your wing, realizing, I should have taken care of this earlier, and you see that like the red blooming is soaking like half of the bandage on that part of the wing now. And though good company and curiosity had dulled the pain, suddenly there's like a throb, and you're like, oh no, my wing really hurts.
Oh god.
I think when, as Balthazar is picking up his hammer now, kind of like, he picked it up with one hand and now he's gonna like put it in his other hand to like a two-handed stance. He's still kind of sitting, but he's slowly starting to get up. And he says, do tell me, Pip, if something big on the outside could see that there's a fire stoked and smoke coming out of the chimney, could also smell blood.
Oh, Pip looks down at her arm, and her ears droop, and she nods.
I think Balthazar's kind of gonna look over. This room that we are in, is it the room where there is a main door or something?
Yeah, you're in the first floor living room in the kitchen, around the table that you'd cleaned up.
Well, he's gonna look over at that door and say, he's kind of gonna look at that table, but I think he's gonna say, well, if it's particularly big, then I don't think barring the door would do us much good. How about
you both
take this...
feel, as you say, it's not too big, you both feel a very slight shudder as something lands on presumably the tree or maybe the house.
Oh
above
gosh,
you.
I think Pip's first reaction now would be to douse the fire.
I think
if there's
where we will pick up next chapter.
No!
Oh!
Ooh, I love an exciting cliffhanger.
No!
So, this is the end of a scene, so I think it's time to do some reflecting on your bearing and your scene and your fortune. So, your fortune for this game was... what was it? It was solves and poultices. The bearing, or the passion for that one, the theme of the scene was ego.
Ooh, okay.
Which was pride and humility, and how you acted in that situation.
Uh-oh.
So, how do you guys feel you acted in response to the kind of the prompts of like pride and humility?
Oh
I
gosh.
think that Balthazar was actually somewhat humble, because he kind of treated the house with with care, and then he's like, well, I gotta go get some water because I want to make a stew. I'm not gonna run through this destroyed house. I'm gonna go around it. And maybe he was more kind of restrained, and he was usually acting in response to something rather than taking the initiative.
So, for ego, humility, some of the keywords are expose, trust, accept, yield, lead, inspire, seed. I think that would describe a lot of the actions that Balthazar has taken this game. It's been mostly to help Pipistrel, possibly at the risk of exposing himself to danger, such as going through the house. And also, building trust. And that modesty and humility of taking care of the house even though it's not theirs. Not just walking in like you own the place and being very gentle, though positive. So I would say that you have acted virtuously in the scene. If you'd like to move your bearing to virtuous, I think that'd be a cool thing for you to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I don't mind that he's flip-flopping. I think that's fun, even if I don't get my benefits. It's just something I'll have to live with.
So you are now virtuous or virtual. Either
he's both.
Virtuously virtual, virtually virtuous. And Pipistrel, how do you think you acted this game? You didn't ask your consequence question.
Oh bugger! I didn't, did I? Dang it!
It's gone.
I've lost my advantage question. Damn it! Okay, well that's on me because I actually forgot that I even had it. I think probably. Well, you know what? Pip did exactly what Pip would have done, which was she walked into this house and she appreciated that it was someone else's, and she doesn't want to I will preface again, she wasn't stealing. She's just.
There are some interesting words for pride. So admire, assert, command, dictate, preen, condescend, glorify, immortalize, judge, and martyr. I like the idea of admire.
Yeah, I think she was definitely.
You were very prideful. You were going through, you were looking, you were nosy. I like the idea that a lot of this action was also the general theme of Vice, which is to act with immediately with no regard for the consequences, to go for immediate gratification.
And I think Pip probably did act with Vice in this scene because she fell onto one of her most sort of obvious traits. She's in a new place. She is tired, but she can't help herself. She loves to look around and explore. And she was curious about, why is this village destroyed? Where are all the people? This is a very nice house. Who lived here? What do they have? That kind of thing. But yeah, she probably acted with Vice, I think, in this scene. And definitely, I think she probably would have acted with pride, yeah.
I think that you have moved into Vice then.
Evil.
I can't believe I'm traveling with a sinner.
Vice isn't good or evil. These are different philosophies for approaching the solving of problems. And this is going to make some really fun discourse, I think, in the next scene that we're going to play. With the approach of who knows what.
I'm scared.
I am excited. I can't wait. I feel like Balthazar's probably gonna move into Vice next scene, or move down again into.
I love the idea of virtuous,
because...
and the next scene you do so much, you're straight to Vice, no neutral.
He just goes out, just oh, see you now. I mean, they don't.
Beast.
Yeah, well, they don't know what it is though, so.
Yeah, I mean,
because he'd also I feel. I mean, yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah. I'm excited and I am scared.
Okay, so I think for a little outro, 5-minute little tiny roleplay, talk about, this is, maybe 4 hours ago, or even before when you were walking through the forest when it was still daylight. I'm going to change the music from something less dramatic.
I honestly, I feel like we did a little bit of that roleplay right before the big twist, because we kind of had our characters talk a little bit about, what they like. But anyway, sorry.
So, no, I agree. Yeah, I feel like you did actually have that conversation.
Well, so we can always save this epilogue for the next session, or if we can sort of slot it in somewhere, because it's nice to have these sort of if we hadn't have had the role play just there, it would have been nice to have like a little conversation about like,
Yeah.
you know, tell me where you come from and what kind of things do you like. But we can
Like
definitely
a
save
little
that
cool
one.
down, almost.
Yeah.
Like the
I-
point of the reflections after each scene is to have a debrief and to be able to take a step back from the story, see what's exciting and interesting, look at our characters, and then be able to kind of nice and gently move away from the intensity of the storytelling. I also like having a little tiny role play of just something very non-stressful and kind of positive at the end. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of have...
So we still want to do the scene? Do the scene, rather, words?
Well, we could do something else. Or, for lack of thing, tell me 3 things about your character that are favourites, or like roleplay it. Like, what are your favourite things?
Ooh. Let me think. What would be Pip's favorite things?
Would you like me to go forward, speak first while you think, or would you like a bit of silence to think?
Oh no. Ver, if you have ideas, then you go for it. I'm gonna have a little thinky think.
Well, I know that Balthazar, he actually likes poetry. But there is a type of toad poetry, or like toad and frog poetry, that's kind of like humorous and satirical, where you speak the lines in, like, let's say the common tongue, but in the same time you croak in that, like, croak language, things that are either sarcastic or kind of basically you riff on what you're saying in the same time. It's like a type of satirical poetry. And I mean, it's not like a super cynical kind of comedian act. It's more so just like these funny little tales, like silly little poems that have
Like
just something.
limericks.
Yeah, something like a limerick with like a dual meaning that you croak at in the same time, and it's about kind of being clever about it. And like fine poetry is like super cool. He likes it, but things like little riddles and limericks is something that he really enjoys and probably participates in. It was probably like, it's something that toads do between each other just for fun, where they have like little riddle battles and stuff. So that's one thing that he enjoys. He enjoys I mean, this is part of his like character creation when we talked about his traits. Beetle handling. He just likes hanging out with the beetles. He's a horse girl.
He has beetle girl energy.
Beetle girl energy. But he's really good with them. Like, I think he's actually just good with insects, like as pets. So he's good with Icky Lucky, and he was good with...
This is something important. You, in Adventures on a Dime, character advancement is reflected by learning new skills. There's no specific set rate to learn new skills. It's just when you think a character has exemplified those talents and started to build towards a new job, which is how you summarize characters. I think you should start a new job, or in your desired job section, write down bug handling.
Bug handling.
Yeah.
Because you have beetle handling as one of your jobs, but I think bug handling is a more general, like, you're just good with bugs.
Good
or,
with
like, you could rephrase it however you want to be something else.
Insect whisperer.
Yeah.
I can click
Wait
to
a
them.
minute. Maybe you're able to roughly communicate with bugs.
That's weird because I also eat them.
Like,
You know?
No, I mean like an insight sort of thing. Like you get their vibe.
Well, I think that's a part of the like insect whisperer where he like knows how to read their body language because he's just been
This
around
is what
insects.
I mean. Not like talk as in like, hello, how are you doing today? Nom nom nom. I mean like, you're able to like read their emotions in a way that other people are like, a moth is a moth is a moth.
Yeah, he knows like the twitch of the antenna or like the flutter of the wings. It's just like, oh, it's nervous, or oh, it likes us. Just has like that. Yeah, he's good with animals essentially as an animal. So yeah, he that's another interesting fact then, that in fact has now what will slowly be a mechanical repercussion, because I understand I can't tag that until he has filled out the entire job.
Yeah, so you can't tag that until you've learned 2 more skills, and then you get to add a trait and a flaw, and then it turns into a job. You move it over into a job, and it becomes like, so you have Toadstool Squire as your first job, and so your second job might be bug doer.
Bug doer.
Bug
See,
shepherd.
I feel like
with
his
breath.
second job is going to be just like some kind of traveler or something like that. That he will acquire skills on the road to Odok.
Yeah.
But I do like the after Antilda and today with Ikilucky. I feel that's a very suitable thing that he has learned. So, but yeah, that's the second thing, and the third thing, I guess, will be that Ikilucky was a like gift that he got as a squire. Like when he acquired squiredom from whatever like knight that was training him, not Lavinia, but like whoever was kind of preparing the squires to be assigned. Oh no, wait, that's not really how it works, is it? He's just under Lavinia. I don't know.
Maybe there was like a finishing
He went to like
school,
little,
if that makes sense.
yeah, like a
there's
little,
pre-squire.
because I mean the toads, because they are knights and squires, but when there's no need for knights and squires, they all just tend to the
Well, maybe it was
stump.
from when,
So like they're.
Maybe it was from when you're still a tadpole, if that makes sense, or you still had your tail.
Yeah, so when the like for whatever ceremony of like tail, like when you kind of lose your tail finally and you don't have like a little tail anymore, it's like that's like the only birthday equivalent that they celebrate. And the stumping. And that's when he got Ikilucky. So she's been with him like for a while, and Ikilucky. I mean, her full name is Lucky, but he calls her Ikilucky because it's funny. She's a messy eater. That's why.
Yeah.
Even though, damn it, fireflies don't eat; they eat in their larval state. Oh yeah, so when she was he raised her from a larva. So when she was a larva, she was a messy eater, and he's just like, Ikilucky, why are you like this? Now she's grown and she's no longer icky, but
I'd say maybe like because intelligent creatures, maybe they do still eat, but it's more like they drink a soup instead because they've been reared to eat and live in their like like making bug stage, if that makes sense.
Well, I just don't know if fire, because bugs are weird, and sometimes when they metamorphose, they just lose qualities, like they don't have a mouth. Or
well, this is the thing, is that like they do that because they don't need them. So like there are some moths that don't have mouths, and they just live for like a week and then starve to death.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like,
So the animals, the beasts, kind of like bred them in a way where like, don't worry, you don't have to die after a week.
Yeah, like please stay around and be my friend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's he maybe has as part of his equipment for the for the firefly lamp or glowworm lamp, I suppose. He has some kind of like
nutrient
kind of
sludge.
Nectar equivalent. Yeah, something. Like, maybe it's produced by the colony guilds, you know, how ants create that nectar that they feed to, like, the queen.
It's like the
something
equivalent
like
of your lamp oil.
Oh, yes! Oh my god, my lamp oil is just me feeding Ikilucky. Perfect. Yes, there we go.
So,
That's the 3 facts
Pipistrel,
about...
what are your 3 favourite things?
So, while Pip is not particularly interested in picking up the family business of becoming a tailor, she does really like embroidery. So her parents, who are very good at, like obviously making clothes for practical uses, but also making like more finery and stuff. She wasn't interested in the actual like making of the clothes, but if they needed to embroider something, if they were making, say, something important for maybe a noble or a merchant, a high-paying merchant, she would help with the embroidery, and she really likes that. Which is one of the reasons that she has an oak leaf embossed on her little tunic. Is because she really wanted that oak leaf. So
it's not standard part of the uniform. You added that to the Massive Guild uniform.
Exactly, she added it onto her tunic because she really wanted to add it. Because she's lame. Another thing that she likes to do, not that she is very embarrassed about it and she won't ever talk about it, is she loves to dance. She loves music. She loves music and dancing. Because bats are they're very sociable. Little species, and they have festivals. They have 2 big festivals of the year, one for the summer solstice and then one for the winter solstice. And the summer solstice in particular involves a lot of light and fire, and the way the festival goes is as the sun sets, you douse all the lights, and then you see the moon rise with no lights around, and it's all a sort of a big celebration of the coming of longer nights, because obviously bats love long nights. And there's lots of dancing and lots of music that happens, and there's always a big festival in Odoke for the summer solstice. And that was one of Pip's favorite things to do when she was growing up, was bats sort of aerial dance as well, so it's not just like dancing on the floor, but they kind of do like air acrobatics as well. Which is was one of the things that sort of led her towards the Messenger Guild, because she loves, even for a bat, she loves being in the air, she loves flying. So Pip is a closet dance and music fan. But I think another, just this kind of just goes from being nosy and stuff. Pip likes to collect, when she can get them anyway. She likes to collect illuminated like parchments and stuff, not necessarily books, because books are too expensive.
Postcards,
basically, yeah. So like illuminated postcards, where like a small little one-off sort of illustrative, maybe pictures, maybe diagrams, lettering if she can get it. I wouldn't necessarily say that she's like well read, but she's very fascinated with written things and drawn things, because her family and her profession and everything is very kind of hands-on. It's all very sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like, everything is very practical, but these kind of little illuminated pieces of parchment from birch trees, she just thinks they're very beautiful, and she likes them. She just likes having them, and she has a small collection of them in her room. Obviously, they're not like, she has to save up for them. They're quite expensive, so she hasn't got many. But like the ones that she does have, she really likes. So Pip is a bit of a collector as well.
Okay, and what kind of skill do you think Pipistrel has learned?
Oh gosh, what could I have learned? To keep my nose out of other people's business. No, I don't know.
never.
No, she can't.
I think something else is that you don't have to have learned a skill yet. It's sort of as it becomes apparent that you've kind of picked something up.
I feel like just being like on the ground, particularly like with a broken wing and everything, and she's kind of been sort of in pain for a lot of the session. I think she may have learned to be like, hardy is not the right word, but like she is becoming more appreciative of like, ground-bound creatures and their plights and things like that. So like her world is opening up by, not being able to travel as far or as fast. I don't know if that would necessarily be like a skill, but like she's definitely,
I keep it in mind. It doesn't sound as finite as a skill. Skills tend to be things like doing words or specific actions. Yeah.
But like I don't think just with everything that she's been through today, she's actually like learned something, but she has a growing appreciation for, a different way of living, basically.
Okay.
Which made
dirt folk.
Like which may turn into a skill next session. It kind of depends on whatever happens with whatever is on the roof.
We'll have to see. But that has been a fantastic chapter 3 for Beast Fables. I really feel like we've hit our stride this session.
Yes.
And I cannot wait to play next Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm so excited. And I'm so excited for more world building and stuff like that, because the Google Doc is, what is it at now? Like 6,000 words?
It's like 7,000 words.
It's a novella.
It is a small novella, yeah. We just keep adding to it.
So, yeah, and we've got a full, like, this is not the full world map. This is maybe 1/5 of the world map that you can see on the Roll20 right now. And if you go to the social media at Dungeons on a Dime, you can see a lot of these cool little posts of Beast artwork, chapter artwork coming up, and also I'll be posting a full map as it exists right now up there as well.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. Everyone go and check it out, because the map is awesome, and
it's so lovely.
And I want a copy of it.
And it's definitely, and it's kind of growing out as we come up with things. And it is quite the collaborative effort. Brian has said that we can come up with place and he'll include it into the world. So it's kind of this fun sourcing of different ideas in different places, and who knows, maybe we'll go there, or maybe we won't.
Yeah,
we'll see.
it's really cool to like have these places to be like, oh, you could go here, and you guys have also have like a vested interest because you've helped make them. So you sort of have this sort of rumor understanding, like anyone would. Like, oh, I've heard of Oxford. I've never been there, but like I know it's got like a university in it, and then I can riff and build on that. But you also have a vague understanding of the world in a way that you wouldn't have if you just picked up a campaign guide for another system and were just like, oh, here's a map of places, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been really fun. I think it's a nice place to do a little bit of an outro. So we're going to reintroduce ourselves. I'm Brian. I was a narrator for today's story. I use he, him pronouns, and I run Dungeons on a Dime, which is an entry-level imprint helping make entry-level role-playing content for people who've never played before but want to try it out. We were using my system, Adventures on a Dime, which is available for free at doad.co.uk. Has a character sheet on Roll20, and in theory, in the next few weeks, we're still kind of working on it, but we'll have a full rule set that you can get straight from the website on Roll20, which will be really sick.
As I think I don't remember if it was pointed out, this podcast or live stream is part of the Roll20 Spotlight.
Yes. It's part of the Roll20 Spotlight program as well. So we're actually sponsored. We're part of a curated like indie stream. So it's really cool that they're highlighting like our lovely little story world that we're building here. And all of the cool artwork. So give Roll20 app a follow as well, because they have loads of really cool shows as part of the Spotlight and loads of cool stuff in the marketplace as well. I think the one thing I want to shout out about is my Patreon, which is patreon.com/Dungeons on a Dime. I have a cool offer running for the whole of July, so if you join up from the $5 tier up, you actually get a full fancy pin badge sent to you as a little thank you for joining up. And I write system-neutral role-playing content as well as lots of cool stuff for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. But yeah, I do battle maps, I do location maps, I do world building. I might even be posting some of the stuff I do for Beast Fables there as well. But yeah, joining me today, I'm going to go in reverse order this time. I have Atlanta, who is a fantastic illustrator. Atlanta, please shout out about all the cool stuff that you're doing.
Well, I will reintroduce myself. I am Atlanta, aka Alpaca Scribbles on most of my social media. I am a freelance illustrator, and I draw many a thing, but at the moment, if you head on over to my Patreon at Alpaca Scribbles, you will be seeing a lot of Pipistrel and Balthazar, because they are basically all I want to draw at the moment. I don't really have anything particularly sort of major to shout out, but like, you know, check me out on my social media if you can. Support me on my Patreon if you want to. You know, I'm here. I'm vibing. I'm making art, and I love it. And I would like to continue to make art. And you know, any support would be amazing. And thank you. And also thank you, Brian, for letting me be in this game again, because I love it so much, and I love this world.
It is so fun having you here. I'm really loving Beast Fables.
Yes,
and
me too.
last but not least, Ver. Hello.
Hello, I am and have been Ver.
You will continue to be Ver unless you metamorphosize.
Yes, well, you know, who knows? It's an entire week between now and the next show, so we'll find out. You can find me on social media, on Twitter under Verface, on Tumblr under Sticks and Sharks. And I'm also on Patreon under Verface again, where I post a lot more often than on my social medias. I post from a game that I am DMing, a lot of the character designs. I show a lot of development art for some of the projects I'm working on currently, which is one comic project that actually three comic projects that have varying levels of hopefully interesting world building and designs. And of course, any support would be wonderful, because I too just want to be doing this and nothing else.
In essentials.
Yeah. And similarly to Atlanta, Brian, thank you very much for having me on this show. I am so very excited to see what happens next week, and I hope we won't die.
Yeah, I don't want to die.
I don't want to kill you, but I will if I have to.
Oh God!
No. Oh, I am actually really excited. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone for joining us. I think we're getting end of the stream here. And yeah, please follow everybody, like, subscribe, share this to all your friends. I really appreciate all the help. We all do.
Force them to watch this.
Yeah, tape their eyes
Force
open.
them.
Please subscribble.
Open
Yes.
their third eye to
Uh-huh.
behold the Beast Fables.
There are many more fables from beasts coming soon.
Yes.
But for now, I hope you have a fantastic day, and we will see you next Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. For now, that is goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Stream's over.